there's another deep connection between the Semites, the Jews, and the Arabs, etc., in ancient lore and history, especially when it comes to deeper things like spirituality. And what that connection is that obviously they are fighting back and forth over control and dominion of the people. And you have two chief gods, in this tense it's Allah and Jehovah, that are going back and forth in these battles, but they're really more of groups of people that are looking to control the populace with these religious and dogmatic cultures. Okay? So what you get, and let me just take a brief moment here so you can understand this, is you get this Abrahamic tradition, which is really rife with many things. It's rife with serpent worship. It's rife with sorcery. It's rife with murder, killing, dualism, racism. So you see that all throughout the Bible. And those who haven't seen it yet, it's just because you've been blinded by this blinded God who causes consistent conflict. So this conflict going on between the Jews and the Arabs is actually manifesting because what we're calling Arab today is really more of the Oriental or the ancient Orients, which you would see as the Moroccans, which you would see as the Kemetans, you would see as the Negus. So what you have going on is actually where you get guys that are Kabbalistic priests like Jimmy Levine, Lyre Cohen, that have actually started up a coven. That's the good word for it. They've started a coven and they're using the African Americans or those of African or melanated descent to actually begin to continuously lead all the people, not just black people, but all the people astray with their talents. So that's what the music industry is. So when they get people to sign these contracts, or they get these guys to sign these contracts are bound by spells. That's what the language is about. It's about spells. That's why they call it spelling. So these contracts are bound by spells. They're made with a specific paper, generally linen and cotton. It's parchment. And then when a person signs this contract, they get the two-dimensional imprint of that person onto this contract that basically says they're now initiated and now affiliated by their own admittance with this cabal. So whether they know everything that's going on with it or not, which most of them don't. I mean, how many people have high levels of spiritual knowledge? You don't actually start seeing what these people are really involved in until you do something like go into eBay and say occult books and then sort them by the most expensive book. And then go to the top, click on that, get the pictures and start looking at the darkness in which they practice. Because it's about bringing up infernal entities. It's about cutting people off from their ancestors. It's about doing basically the disarray that's going on in the world today so that they can be rulers of the world. They want someone to serve them. That's what a sorcerer is. They're not in service to other people like what a shaman or a medicine man is. So understand the difference. So the second thing that you have to understand is that this back and forth that's going on between the Jews and the Arabs, or the Jews and more specifically the African Americans, is that they've been following, let's say, the African American or those of melanin descent and preying on them like vampires or mosquitoes since leaving up out of the Levant. And they've pursued them all the way to the United States, which you already know the Moors were in the United States first. I mean, there was a lot going on with the trade routes with the Native Americans, which are really coming from Angkor Wat. So there's a lot of history of basically a back and forth war. And this is coming to us as the Crusades. Okay, because they're still out there fighting the Crusades now. It's still Arabs versus basically what they say is Americans. But it's really more specifically the Knights Templar and the secret societies attempting to take control over the Middle East and could take control over the world. It's just not one specific area. So that's why there's these toppling of world leaders. Now, I'm not saying one person's right and this is whose side you should be on. I'm just giving you all the information that's necessary for you to divine for yourself what's really going on. So Prince was under one of those contracts. And just like any of these other guys that you see sign these contracts, Fetty Wap and all the rest of Dr. Dre's, and well, he's going to definitely know more about what he's into, have signed this contract. And what this contract links them into is Baphomet. Now, many people don't actually know what Baphomet is, but what it is the corruption of even the word Muhammad. Baphomet means, in their terminology, the force in which unites all men, the wisdom or the force in which unites all men under one coven or one group. And I can't even get into the details. It takes us for a whole nother recording if we're planning on keeping this even down to 30 minutes of exactly how much is going on in history with this particular coven of men who are praying and worshiping a dark lord along with the witches, the warlocks, etc. Now, it may sound a little Harry Potter-ish to you, but it's something that they really do and something that they really get into. And it's been going on for thousands of years, possibly even longer than that. So what this is really about is this is about getting people into the affiliation with the entity that they're worshiping. And that's what those contracts do. And this entity is so prominent within the high levels of the occult, it actually comes out as a terminology as who trained individuals such as Pythagoras, individuals such as Apollonius of Tyana, individuals such as Simon Magus, even people such as Jesus, and all the sorcerers and practitioners of the time in that specific club, which is the Order of the Melchizedek, and all the rest of what they rolled into that, have been practicing this level of magic, and it's a long lineage of magic. And much of what they have, they've taken from Kemet and from Angkor Wat and from different cultures that understand how to use tones, vibrations, and many other things in order to resonate and connect with ancestral energies to gain the information and the memory of the ancestors, okay? So instead, what they're doing with it is they're using the knowledge to enslave people on multiple levels, create the technologies and things that you see today, which are not really technologies compared to what we had back in the old day. So that gives you a really brief history of what goes on in the Cabal, who they're worshiping, and how deep it really goes into. You're going to have to do your own research, and we'll have probably one specific show just about that, so that way you can get all the pieces.